Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the LEAD training for residential and placement programs webinar. We're going to get started in just 2 minutes, but we want to give folks a little bit more time to log on. We have a pretty good enrollment. We just want to make sure everyone had an opportunity to attend. So just hang tight for about 2 more minutes and we'll get started. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody for your patience. We had a little audio problem, but we're ready to start. Again, good afternoon and welcome to our LEAD provider portal training for residential and placement programs. My name is Lynn Philpott. I am the licensing business technical specialist here at EEC. Also joining us today will be Andrew Epic, who's the director of field operations policy, and we also have several members of our technical team on the line with us. This afternoon, we're going to be presenting and demonstrating a variety of features of the LEAD portal during our training. If you have any questions during the training, please post them in the questions area in your control panel for your webinar over to the right of your screen. Our agenda today is first, we're just going to show you the training schedule that we have for our remaining webinars. We'll talk about how to get a LEAD portal account if you don't already have one. We'll show you how to navigate the LEAD provider portal homepage. We'll talk about how to begin a transaction in the LEAD Phase 3 provider portal, how to submit that transaction to EEC through your portal, how to navigate through your existing submitted transactions in your portal page. We'll talk about different things that you should be aware of after you've submitted transactions to EEC. We'll discuss the document library and the different types of the document library, program view versus umbrella view. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A session where we'll try to answer as many of the questions that you've posted. So for our training schedule, we have already offered this training to our group and school age programs. We have this one session for residential programs, and then we are offering it 5 times for family child care in 4 different languages. We are recording this session, so if there are any people in your program or other RMP programs that are unable to attend today's session, they can always watch the recorded session. The best way really to learn about and experience LEAD is to see it live. So most of the presentation today will be looking at LEAD through the actual portal. Okay, so for anybody that doesn't already have a LEAD portal account, how do you get one? For RMP programs, the way that you would get one is to contact your program licensor. Your licensor is most familiar with your program, and they're the ones that know when you call that you should have access to the portal. So just give your licensor a call and they can set up your portal account. Your username for your portal account is your email address. And when your portal account is set up, you will get an email with a link to set up your password. So the email that you're going to receive, as soon as my Gmail loads, sorry about that, will look like this. It will have your username down at the bottom, which, as I mentioned, is your email. And then it's going to have this really big long link that you just click on, and it will take you to the page where you will set up your password. And then after that, you are good to go to log into the portal.
Hey, Lynn, this is Andrew. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can. Welcome back.
Yeah, I apologize. The reason we had a delay at the beginning is I did my whole introduction, but apparently my audio wasn't connected. So apologies to everyone that we started a little late.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're back. Okay, so now let's talk about navigating the LEAD provider portal homepage. So to do that, let's take a look at what the portal homepage looks like. If you have ever logged into LEAD in Phase 2, which would have been prior to this July, you would have seen a different homepage than what it looks like now. This is the homepage as of the end of July of this year. So when you log in, this is what you'll see. You'll see the name of your program here. You'll see a way to get back to your home page, and the button to log out is over to the right. The next thing that you'll notice is this blue section right here titled Important Information. EEC uses this area to keep you updated on any bulletins of important information that they want to pass along to programs. Right now it contains information about BRCs and fingerprinting, but this information will change over time, so we just recommend that when you log in that you do reference this area to keep up to date on the latest information from EEC. The next section below that in this blue box is about submitting a support ticket. If you are having any difficulties with the portal, we ask that you submit a support ticket so that our technical help desk can be aware of it and can help you resolve your issue. So to submit a support ticket, you would just click where it says click here to create a new ticket. And that brings you to this page. So what you would do is you just, where it says I need assistance with, this is a drop-down list, and you choose the topic that you need to ask for assistance with. So if you're working on a transaction, you would just choose transaction and click continue. On the next page, there's a few more boxes that need to be filled in. Any box with a red asterisk is required. So you would fill in a subject. If you have the transaction number, in this case, we would ask that you fill it in and then type in a description of the problem. The more information that you can give, the better. If you're seeing an error message, please try to include the error message in the description, or any, whatever odd behavior you're seeing. Please describe it in as much detail as you can, so that the technical team can try to research your problem before reaching out back to you. It helps to facilitate a faster response to the issue that you're seeing. Once you've typed in all your information, just click Submit Ticket, and the technical team will receive your information. Over on the left, there's a link called All Tickets, which allows you to see all of the tickets that you have submitted in the past, just for your records. And the closed ticket link lets you see all the tickets that have been closed or resolved. So we're now going to go back to our home page and continue through the information on that page. So the information in these two green boxes is about your program. The first section would have the name of your program and then the status of your license. So this particular program is licensed and they're current. This status can change if, for example, your license is expired, or if you're in the renewal process, you would see that reflected here. The next section has information about the capacity of your license, as well as the most recent issue date and expiration date. Next to that are two counters. The first counter shows the number of days that are remaining on your current license. The counter over to the right shows the number of days that remain until EEC is expecting to receive your renewal application in the regional office. The reason that these two counters are different is because EEC expects your renewal application 30 days before the expiration of your license, so the counters will always be off by 30 days. You won't see anything in this counter on the right until you're about 4 months away from renewal. So if you still have a year left, this counter would say not applicable because you're not nearing your renewal date. Down here is where you can access all of the transactions that you're working on or have submitted to EEC, but we'll come back to that in a little bit. And at the very bottom is a list of links to resources that EEC has put together that we felt would be useful for you to have handy. On the left-hand side of the page, there's a link to program information, and we're going to click on that. This page will look familiar to you if you have used phase 2 of LEAD. And this is what the program information that you saw on the home page used to look like in phase 2, and this has information about your program and your license. If you scroll down a little bit further, you would have access to the visit reports that have been done for your program, as well as investigations and any incidents or injuries that have been reported by you. Up at the top, there's a button where you can submit a new incident or injury, a link where you can respond to visits or investigations if you need to respond to non-compliances, and another button where you can start a new licensing transaction. While we're on this page, I am just going to quickly go over submitting a new incident report. We did have a request this week to go over this page, so we're going to do that right now, just to make sure that everybody has the same understanding of the fields on the page so that the reports are filled out consistently. So the first page is really just information directing you about filling out the report and what you need to do in the event of a serious incident. So on this page is when you would start to fill out information. In this first section, summary or type of case, this, the title could be a little misleading because it says summary, but what we're looking for here is actually a brief description of what you're reporting. So by brief, it could be something like injured child, or a 51A was filed for neglect, something that's like a one-sentence summary of what happened. So this is meant to be like a very brief statement of what's being reported. The next section, where did the incident occur, should be a little bit more descriptive than like just at the program. So if you have a location within the program, please include that here. This is just choosing the time of day that the incident happened. Over here on the right, about when did the incident occur, you just choose a date off of the calendar. This section at the top right about what happened, this should be a description of the overall incident, including the location and what actually happened. This should be the comprehensive description of the incident. So this is the bulk of the information about what happened that you should be supplying, should be in this area. Underneath there is the involved persons section. So to add involved persons, children or adults, you would click add. You have two types of people that you can add here, either a child or an adult. For the children's involvement, the only required field is the first and last name, but you're able to also add their date of birth and information about the parents. Under description of involvement, you can put things like injured child or a little bit more information. It can be a little bit repetitive about the regarding the information under this what happened field, but we do ask that anything that happened to this child be included in the what happened area. If this is an adult that was involved in this incident, again, we need the first and last name. There's a new field here, which is their role, and there's a drop-down list for you to choose what role they have. And again, a brief description of their involvement. The rest of the fields are all required fields, asking if first aid or CPR was provided. If the answer is no, you just go on to the next field. If the answer is yes, you're asked to provide more information. And then the rest of the questions are also about medical and where the parents notified and if reports were filed with DCF or Disabled Persons Commission. And then you're done with filling out this information. The next page is for attachments. And then you're good to submit. Okay, so we're going to go back to our home page. The rest of the links on the left here, this Fill Noncompliance Corrective Action is actually a duplicate of the button that was on the page we were just on, which will allow you to respond to any noncompliances in visits or investigations. There's a link to get you to the document library, which we'll be talking about later, and a link to go back to the umbrella page. I am logged in as an umbrella user right now, and we're going to talk about umbrella users later as well. But right now, we want to talk about transactions. So what exactly is a transaction? A transaction, in one way, is anything that we used to apply for on paper. So a renewal application that you used to drop off at your regional office is now called a renewal transaction. Also, if you needed to notify your licensor that your program was moving, that's also a transaction. It's a change of address transaction. So to see what transactions are available to your program, you would click on the New Transaction link. That will take you to a list of the transactions that are available to your program at this time. And the reason that I say at this time is because this list of transactions will change based on what's going on with your program. So for instance, if your program is not nearing your expiration date, you are not going to see the renewal transaction available to you because it doesn't make sense for you to apply for renewal if you're not getting ready to expire. Also, if you happen to start a transaction and it hasn't been completed, LEAD will not show that transaction here because it prevents you from starting a duplicate transaction while you still have one going on. So that's why this list is going to look different depending on what's going on with your program at any given time. Now, if we come down to this area on your home page called Licensing Transactions, My Licensing Transactions, you'll notice that there's 4 different tabs down here. These tabs contain a list of your transactions that are in various statuses. So the first status is the draft or unsubmitted status. And this is where you can find a transaction that you're still working on, but you haven't yet sent to EEC. LEAD allows you to start a transaction and start to fill it out. But if you don't have time right then to finish it, to send it to EEC, it will save it for you. So you can go back in and finish it later. So I did start my renewal transaction a little while ago, and now I want to go back in and finish it. So I come down here to my licensing transactions, I go to the unsubmitted tab, and here I can find my license renewal transaction. To go back into the transaction, I click on this blue transaction ID number, which will bring me into the transaction. I also have the opportunity to discard or delete this transaction if I decide I've changed my mind, and I would do that by clicking discard this application under the useful links section. But I do actually want to continue with my renewal, so I'm just going to click here on the transaction ID to go back into my transaction. So as I mentioned, I did start this before. Every transaction starts with an instructions page. The instructions page contains information for you about the things that you're going to need to know and need to have available in order to submit your transaction. It's going to talk about things like the fees that you're going to need to submit and the documentations that you're going to need to have ready to submit to your licensor in order to have your transaction completely submitted. We do recommend that you read through the instructions page completely before you start a transaction, just so you know that you have everything ready so that you're able to submit your transaction to your licensor. Once you've done that, just click Next to get to the beginning of the transaction pages. In this renewal transaction, the first page is the provider information page, and you'll just see basic information about your program, like the name of the program, the address, contact information, and a couple of questions. You'll notice that some of the fields are grayed out, like the name and the address. The reason for that is because if the name or the address of your program is going to be changing, you cannot change those within a renewal transaction. You have to actually submit either a change of name or a move transaction to EEC in addition to the renewal. So that's why you can't just go in and say, oh, my name is changing, I need to just edit this field. You're not allowed to edit them. You are allowed to edit things like the email address and the phone number, however. So once your information on this page is complete, just click Save and Next to move on. So the next page that we're on is the administrator information page. The information on this page actually is important that it's filled out correctly and accurately for a few reasons. The people that you're going to see here is a list of the administrators, and this page also controls the BRC forms that are sent out to your program's licensee and your BRC reviewers. When you log in, you will see a list of people that's populated by the information that we have in the system, but you can add to this list and you can also edit it to make sure that it is accurate. So to edit someone who's on your list already, you would just click the Edit button to the left of their name. And you would come to this page. So my contact, whose name is Tommy, he is currently listed as the licensee and the program director. But if I decide that he is not the program director anymore, his role has changed, I can highlight that and remove a role from his record. If I decide that was a mistake, I just click and I can add it back. So a person can have more than one role associated with their name. For anyone that has a BRC role of either licensee or reviewer, you need to come over to the BRC role field and choose licensee or reviewer. These are the only people that LEAD is going to send BRC forms to for them to fill out and send back to EEC. If the contact person is neither a licensee or reviewer, just leave this set at none. It's important that we have an accurate email address for the contact so that if they are a licensee or reviewer, we can email them their BRC form. At the bottom of the page is an effective date, which would be the date that the contact started at the program. If you don't know that exactly, if they've been with the program a long time, it just needs to be a date in the past so that we know that they are currently active at your program. And then this checkbox will be checked off. If you see a person that should no longer be on this list because they are no longer working at your program, you can come down to this checkbox and uncheck the currently active checkbox. When I do that, you'll notice that this term date field shows up. In this box, you would put in the date that the person left your program, so the date that they no longer worked at your program. This makes this contact inactive at your program, and they would not be sent a BRC form either. If you need to add a new contact, just click the Add a Contact link, and you'll be given a blank form that you can fill out for the new person. The next page just contains information about your program. Some of the fields are drop downs for you to choose from. Some you can choose and add to a list, and others you would just fill in the required information. The last page is the attachments field, but for R&P programs, you actually will not be attaching anything in this section because you use your document library to send your documents to your licensor. So we'll just skip this page because we'll talk about the document library in a little bit. The last page is the summary and submission page. This is going to show you a summary of all of the information that you have entered while you filled out this transaction. We ask that you review all of the information to make sure that it's complete and correct, because once you submit your transaction to EEC, you will not have the opportunity to make any changes to it. So please take a look at it, make sure it's okay. If it's not, you can just click on the links over here to go back to the page that you need to make the changes to, and you can edit the information. If everything looks okay, scroll down to the bottom to the terms and conditions area. When you check off this checkbox, you're signifying that you've reviewed your answers and that everything is correct. And if you're ready to submit to EEC, just click the I agree submit button. When you do that, your transaction will get sent to EEC and you'll get a notification that your transaction was successfully submitted. And it will take you right back to your home page. Now, if we look down here at My Licensing Transactions and we go back to the Draft Unsubmitted tab, you'll notice that it says 0 because now we've completed filling out that application. So if we look at the second tab, which is the status of in progress submitted, we can now see our renewal transaction here. So now what? We submitted our transaction to EEC, but now what's happening? When a transaction is in progress submitted status, it means that you did fill it out and you did send it to EEC, but EEC still needs some things from you before the transaction will be sent to your licensor for processing. So what are we waiting for? Well, in this example, where we're doing a renewal transaction, what could we be waiting for? We are waiting for instance, your fee. So you still have to physically mail the check in to EEC because we don't yet accept electronic payments. You'll also have to fill in a tax certification document. That used to be at the end of your paper application, but now it's a separate document. And then you need to submit your background check forms back to EEC. So once all of those are submitted and received by EEC, then your transaction will be given to your licensor. LEAD will send you some very helpful emails so that you know what EEC is waiting for on this particular transaction. So if we go to our inbox, here we go. The first email that we got will tell us that our license transaction was successfully submitted. So if I click on that, this is what the email looks like. It's addressed to my program. It has that very useful transaction ID number in it. And then it tells me that we did get your application, but we still need that tax certification statement and the fee. Now, in regards to the fee, this paragraph tells you exactly how much your check needs to be for. So you don't have to consult the fee schedule anymore and try to figure it out by capacity. The system is doing that for you, and it'll tell you how much your check should be for and who to make the check out to. You mail it to your regional office, and the address is down here in this email. We do ask that you either print this email out and mail it with your check, or you have the option of writing this transaction number on your check. We need one or the other so that when we get your check in the office, we can match it up with your transaction in the system and apply your check correctly. The other thing that this email is wanting is your tax certification statement. And it gives you a link so that you can electronically fill it out and sign it and return it to EEC. So if we click on that link, it takes us into DocuSign so that you can electronically sign that statement. So the first thing you would do was fill out your name and your email address. And click Begin Signing. You would indicate here that you agree to use electronic records and click Continue. And this is what the tax certification form looks like. The name of your program is already filled out for you. If it has a different corporation name, you can add that. And then here you would put the social that's associated with your program, or it's probably a federal tax ID number, and you would just fill that out. And then to electronically sign the document, you would click in this yellow box. Here it tells you the name that it's going to use to sign the document, and it shows you an example of the signature. If you don't like that signature, you can click over here where it says Change Style, and it gives you samples of different signatures to choose from, and you can pick one. If you don't like that either, you can draw your own signature by clicking Draw, and you can sign with your mouse, which is not as easy as it looks. Or if you're on a mobile device, you can sign with your finger. If this is not the right name, say this got mailed to an admin person, but the licensee is the one signing it, the name can be changed up here. And this will, oops. Oh, because I didn't, that will change the signature. So once the right person is signing it, you just click Adopt and Sign, and the signature will show up on the form. When you click Finish, it's automatically sent back to EEC and linked up with your transaction. So you don't have to worry about how do I get that form back to EEC. DocuSign takes care of that for you. Now, for everybody on your transaction who was listed as either a licensee or a BRC reviewer, they will receive a BRC form emailed to them. So we're going to take a look at one of them. This is what their email looks like. Again, it has a transaction ID on it, and it has a link for them to access the BRC form. It also has their name. The email is addressed to them, and this is very important. The person who the email is addressed to is the only person who should be clicking on this link and filling out the BRC form. So people should not be sharing these emails. Two people cannot use the same link. They have to use their own email and their own link to fill out their own BRC form. So if we click that BRC link, it's going to take us back into DocuSign. When you're filling out the BRC forms, please check that you're getting the right form. BRC Program Administrator is for reviewers. The licensee will get a form that says licensee. If you received what you believe to be the wrong type of form, probably your contact on that contact page has the wrong BRC role for you, and you can go back in and change it, and it will send you a new form. On the BRC form, anything that's red is required. So you'll notice in this section it's asking for maiden names and aliases. If you don't happen to have an alias or a maiden name, those fields are required, but you can just fill them in with N/A for not applicable, and it will allow you to move on to the next field. You'll also notice that for the Social Security number, we require the last 6 digits of the social, and this is a required field. If someone does not have a Social Security number, you can check the box in the next field where you can indicate that you don't have a social, and when you do that, the Social Security number field becomes an optional field. So it's possible to move past that required field if you check the next field. To sign the forms, it's the same way as before. You just click the yellow box and click Adopt and Sign. There's 3 different places where the BRC form needs to be signed, so you do have to click all 3 places before you are able to finish the form. So we've mailed our check, we have submitted our tax cert, and we've submitted our BRC forms. After that, your application or your transaction will be given to your licensor. But let's say you come back to your portal and you still see your transaction in this in progress submitted status. As you know, that means that it still has not moved on to the licensor. If it stays that way and you think that you have submitted everything, please give your regional office a call. They'll be able to let you know if something wasn't received and what that is, and they'll be able to help you move through that so that your transaction can get processed properly. While your transaction is in this stage of in progress submitted, there are several useful links over to the right. After you submit your transaction, you can click on this link to go back and look at what you submitted, but you really can't make any changes to the information, with the exception of adding contacts. So if you need to add another contact in that section, you would just click the Add Contacts link over here. It will take you back into the transaction to the correct page, and you can add or edit the contacts that you have. If you can't find the tax certification email, or it got deleted by mistake, you can click this link to request a new one. If you need to re-request background check consent forms, you can do that as well. If you click that link, a list of all the contacts that you have that should have received background check emails will come up, and you just select the person that needs their form resent to them and click Send Notification, and they will get their BRC form emailed to them. Oops. Okay. When you have mailed your check to EEC, you can click this link to let us know that the fee is on the way. It's not a requirement, but if you'd like to let us know, you're able to do so. And at this point, you still have the option to click Discard this application if you've changed your mind and you just want to delete the application. The next status is called In Progress Under Review. And once your application is in this status, it is with your licensor. The list of useful links is actually much smaller for transactions that are in this status, because the licensor now is working on your application, and we have most of the things that we need from you, but you still can edit the contacts list. And you can still click on the transaction number to just review what you have sent to EEC. Once your transaction has been processed and closed, and a new license has been issued, it's moved over to this tab just for your records, so that you always have a record of it and you can reference it by clicking on the transaction number. Okay, so that very quickly and in a nutshell is transactions. Now let's talk about the document library, because that's how you're going to be uploading all of your documents, your policies, inspections, and that sort of thing. So each program has its own document library. So right now I'm looking at a program's homepage, and over to the left is a link to their document library. So if I click on it, I come to this program's document library. EEC has defined all of these document types that should tell you what type of document you should be uploading into each section. It shows you the program type, so this is a group care program, and then it lists the status. If the status says unsubmitted, that means that EEC does not yet have an electronic copy of this particular type of document. If the status says submitted, it means that you have uploaded this document to EEC, and it tells you what date you uploaded it. If the status says reviewed, that means that you did upload a copy of it and that your licensor has reviewed the document. When you upload a document to EEC, if it's a document that has been previously reviewed by your licensor and you haven't made any changes since then, but you're uploading it to the document library just so that we have a digital copy, you can mark that this has been previously reviewed by your licensor. When you do that, the status of that document will be legacy reviewed. So let's just go over quickly how to upload a document. So if we want to upload this document type, we would just click on the Manage Documents button over to the right. A description of what should be in this document is first. There is a place for an expiration date. This is not a required field, so you don't have to fill anything out there. This is the checkbox that you would mark off if this document was previously reviewed by your licensor and there have not been any changes since then. If you check this off, the status of your document is going to be legacy reviewed. To actually upload the document, you just click Select Attachment and find the document that you want to upload. You can either click the document once and click Open, or you can click on the document twice. They both do the same thing. When you do that, you'll see the name of the file next to the Select Attachment button. You then need to click the Upload button. And then EEC tells you that you still need to click Save before you're done. So then we just click the Save button, which is underneath the Upload button. Now that we've done that, we can see that the status of our document is changed to Submitted, and that we submitted it today. You also have the ability within the document library to email your licensor about this document. So if you click Email EEC, you can start an email conversation with your licensor, and the emails are all going to be shown in this area, so that if you need to track the conversation about the this emergency preparedness document, it's all easily referenced from right within the document library. And here we can see the document that we uploaded as well. There's also a responsible party column. Right now, all of my documents say that the responsible party is the provider. And when your program's document library is set up, they're all going to say that the program or the provider is responsible for the document. But if your program is owned by a corporate umbrella who owns several programs, at the umbrella level, they can decide that some of these documents actually are going to be the responsibility of the umbrella user. When they do that, that means that the documents will be uploaded to the document library by an umbrella level user. When the umbrella level user uploads a document, it will show up in the document library of the program, and it will show up in the document library of all the programs under the umbrella. The programs will be able to access the documents and read them, but they won't be able to change them or upload their own versions. So when I initially logged into the portal today, I actually logged in as an umbrella user. So if an umbrella user wants to change, so now I'm going to go back to an umbrella user's homepage. So this is what an umbrella level user will see when they initially log into the portal. Their homepage looks a lot simpler. They have a link to the umbrella level document library, a link to the help desk, and then they have a list of the programs that fall under the umbrella. So right now, if we look at the umbrella's document library, it's empty because the umbrella has not marked any of the document types as umbrella level documents. But let's say he wants to. To do that, he has to choose one of his programs. It doesn't matter which one. But let's say for his group care programs, he wants to mark a document. It's going to be an umbrella level document. So he chooses a group care program. He goes into that program's document library because this has to be done at the program level. The umbrella level user then clicks the edit button. Once he does that, he's able to change who the responsible party is for the document. So we're going to change the allowance policy document to umbrella. And then we're going to click save. Now that I've done that, I'm in the program's document library. You can see that the responsible party says umbrella, but as the program, I don't have the manage documents button anymore, so I can't upload anything as the program. But now if I go back to my umbrella homepage and go to the umbrella's document library, we can see the document type, and the umbrella now has the ability to upload that document type. And the upload works the exact same way that it did for the programs. So then if we return to the program's document library and look at the allowance policy, the program can see the document that the umbrella uploaded and read it, but they can't change it. So if your organization needs to or would like to have umbrella level users that they don't have set up yet, you can contact your licensor. They are able to set up umbrella level portal users for you. The one requirement is that if you're going to be an umbrella level portal user, you have to have authority to manage all of the programs under the umbrella. We cannot give like partial access. If there's 10 programs under the umbrella, you have to have authority over all 10. We couldn't just give you authority over 5 if those are the only ones that you oversee.